Welcome, everybody. Today we're going to look at something that is new in the open beta, which is they've changed how cargo is loaded onto the trailers, especially the flatbed trailers, anything with a 3D model, um, so exposed loads like the concrete pipes and the uh, house building stuff like lumber and things like that, or like house prefabs. I think there's a place where you can deliver house stuff to, like a new community they're building or whatever. So this is there's two different parts of this. There is going to be like how it looks in Blender and how they've set up nodes and things like that on the body of the trailers and the loads themselves. So we're going to take a look at both of those things today in Blender to show you kind of how these things are calculated and what they mean. Again, this is a very high level thing. I'm not going super in depth here, or I haven't done it myself, like made a trailer work with the new system or anything like that. I'm just gaining information about it right now. So if you'll join me here, we will move over to Blender now. Excuse me. The first thing that we notice is I have two things in here. You'll see the 48-foot flatbed, aluminum flatbed from the game. So this is all SCS stuff. There's no mods in this. And then up here, cargo_1, this is actually the air conditioning units. And there's another interesting thing about the air conditioning units, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And not just the air conditioning units, but this is the first one I noticed it in. So we have here, you'll notice L area _E_0, and then L area _S_0. So this starts with a node, let's see, in the front. So this is the front driver's side corner, which is the S. And then the E is the rear. Didn't mean to move that. The E is the rear passenger side corner. What this explains to the game is that this is where you're allowed, this is where the game is allowed to put stuff. This is the area of the trailer. So anything between these 2 points is what can fit on the trailer. So it takes into account the distance between these 2 points. Again, it's creating a square. So it's taking this corner here, bringing it over to this corner here in a straight line, and also straight lining to the front here. So this is essentially the bounding box of where you can put stuff. Now you notice there's collisions all over everything, and they're exactly to the dimensions of the thing in question. Even so far as in the front, they've only put it to this corner so they can continue making boxes around here, so that each level of this is taken into account. So this is all because of this cargo thing and how this functions. So now we have our area that we can put things on. So that brings us to the cargo itself. Now, the cargo itself is actually measured both in the SII and the collisions. So if you go into the collisions, you'll see the larger collision here is measured in an X direction, a Y direction, and a Z direction. All of these are important now because um, this is taking the volume of this into account. So when we talk about the volume of a trailer and what it can carry and hold and all this stuff, this actually matters. Before you could kind of make them do whatever you wanted. You could increase the volume of a trailer, by way more than it would normally carry. But now, because of this, that means you'll just get stuff. Um, you won't actually get stuff on it because it can carry too much volume, and there aren't things to go on it, or these things are the wrong volumes. So there's a lot of different factors here. Again, the early high level look. I'm not really. I haven't really delved into it deeply. So take a lot of this with a grain of salt, but we're just getting the basics here. So again, collisions, very important here. Now, you'll notice there's like a million more kind of nodes all over these things. What's all that about? Well, here you can see all the lashing locations that you can have on this device. And that depends on what trailer it's on, what's in front of it, what's behind it, how many points it's allowed along the edge. And so if we go to here, you'll see Lash MS. Let's bring this back up. Lash M_S_0 in the front, and then 1 on the passenger side front, and then E1 on the passenger side, and E0 on the driver's side in the back. And what this is telling the game is from here to here, from this point here to this point here, is where your lashing is. So this is what you should be connecting to along this edge. And conversely, the other side, 1 here and 1 here. So all along this edge, this is where you should be lashing. Now the E and S matter because one of them is where the clip is and one of them is where the ratchet is, or whatever. I haven't gone that far yet. But one side is different than the other, and that's kind of it's essentially trailer cables, if you want to think of it that way. So like you plug in the electrics to the truck part and the electrics to the trailer part, and those are the two ends. Sometimes they're not exactly the same. So this is what designates the E and the S designate what side whatever clips to. So this is how this works. It takes the cargo here into account, how big this cargo is in relation to the area that you can put this cargo on. So essentially, just by looking at the side view, you could get probably 1, 2, 3, 4 of these on a 48-foot trailer, based on just an eyeball look. The game may reduce it to 3 depending on what it decides the volumes are and things like that. But this is how this new system works, is these are the lashing locations. This here explains where you can lash it on the trailer along this edge. And then the area created by this rectangle, by the 2 nodes front and back. So this is why I think I'm going to have to go through and create all custom cargos for the Retinue, even more so than I did before, so I'm gonna have to also put a lot of these things in for the lashing and the area and all that stuff, but because it's a curved deck, it can't create a rectangle. So I have to really work into that and figure out exactly what that all means. So let's switch back over here while I look at this. Okay, so now we're ready to go back to um, our body of the, oh, this is the 45 foot, but either way, it doesn't really matter per se. We're looking at a volume here. Just like we did before, but after we get down below the defaults, you're going to see the cargo loading methods. It's loading the cargo by area. It is not loading it by custom. When you load it by custom, if you look in some of the lowboy stuff, because it has a it's got different vehicles and things like that, and lots of different chain points. You may be able to use this custom one, but then you have to have even more data down here. So regular width, this is showing the regular width. It's also showing the cargo area. This is measured by the 2 points in Blender that we discussed, front driver's corner and rear passenger corner. So these 2 points of data are kind of how much space you have here. You have your lashing mounts, which are the lash M1, lash M2. And then here is the lash M1, lash M2, and how far they're spaced apart, and what the hook chain looks like on the sides where it clips onto the side rails. And then it's talking about these 2 things, including this lashing gear and lashing gear data. So we have lashing gear data. It's showing you what the strap would look like instead of the chain and so on, and what the binders look like. But then if we go to lashing gear SUI, let's open that up. Is that vehicle? Lashing gear, here we are. So that's all. It's just telling you that you can either use strap or chain. And then once we get into the actual load data, this is just showing the model and the LODs. This all looks the same from the old one, just calling the cargo itself. That doesn't change. But then you have accessory cargo, accessory aircon, accessory aircon 1, accessory aircon 2. You can see the cargo has changed. Cargo 1 is the one that we're looking at, that we're just looking at in Blender. And then there's cargo 2 and 3. So the cool part about this is that when you go back into here, and I'll show you the definitions. Once you go into cargo, say, this is the standard cargo thing I already have open. Now in def vehicle cargo, you're going to have more information in here now. And this is where the new cargo comes into place here. So this is the accessory aircon. aircon 1, aircon 2, and the model areas. So this is saying the loading method is area. So that's the, like we were saying, that's the area that the you can load onto on the flatbed. Top over, meaning it's not connected to a point and then another point on the side. So it's not connected to like a machine and then connected to the side of the trailer. It goes from the trailer over the top and then down on the other side to the trailer again. That's what the top over method is here. Again, showing the dimensions, how tall it is or how wide, long and tall, or I think it's XYZ, so that would be tall at the end. Model area 1, again, you can see there's a difference between the data here in the dimensions. Just a slight difference. But because across all of these, because they're all different, and because the accessory aircon is under the air conditioning cargo, as you see up here at the top of the screen, cargo aircon, it's going to mix and match all of these 3 models on your trailer to see what fits best. So you may get 2 of the same, you may get all 3 different ones, you may get 2 of one and 1 of the other. So that's pretty cool. That means these loads should be actually variable, depending on your trailer and depending on how the game wants to fit them on. So that's pretty cool. And again, high level here, not going like super in depth on this, just like a high level overview of how this system is working right now. And though it's not like you're driving the equipment onto the trailer like in Farm Sim or something like that, it's more of a dynamic loading situation. So although it's going to be a little bit more difficult for us modders, it will be nice to have a flatbed trailer that's a mod trailer. All you have to do is build the mod trailer and put the lashing locations in, and then you can pick up every SCS load without manually remaking every SCS load to put on top of the trailer. So pretty cool. But like I said, I just wanted to give you guys a short overview, kind of high level of what we're looking at in Blender and then how it kind of translates onto, you know, the use of the game and how that kind of feels to you. It's doing a lot more in the background, I think, than I expected personally. Um, all the old models and stuff are still in the game because they haven't cleaned that all up. Obviously, they want to make sure everything is working properly because, again, it is an open beta. So they want to make sure that's all working properly before they just like axe everything from the game. So the other models are still in there. So the game is still very bloated with all the old 3D models plus all the new cargo 3D models. So again, hopefully, like over time, they kind of weed that out and get that moved. To where it is only the dynamic loaded models, and that way it'll be less expensive on a size situation in your game. So it won't be as, you know, obviously you want to reduce the overall size of the game because we're barely halfway done with the United States right now, and it is a pretty massive game at this point. So anything they can do to cut down on, you know, those types of assets will remove some storage requirements for you guys, the end user in the end. So I hope this sheds a little bit of light onto the open beta cargo and how that kind of functions a little bit. So remember to comment below. Let me know what you'd like me to look at next, and I will continue to do my best in covering what's coming up for American Truck Simulator. See you next time. Bye bye.